that chopper doesn't shut off.
FS Flying School connecting.
When connecting, please make sure that you are already in the cockpit of a plane in X-Plane and not at a menu. In order for FS Flying School to provide you with a full, detailed analysis of your approach and landing, you need to begin your approach to landing at least 600 feet above the ground. So if, for example, the runway elevation is 300 feet, you would need to start at least 900 feet on your altimeter. Once you've tuned the VOR station on nav1, you can use the nav1 VOR indicator by turning the OBS, which is the omni-bearing selector, to either a desired radial that you want to fly from or a course that you want to fly to the station. When you are on approach to landing and you descend below 500 feet above ground level, your instructor will look at the runway in front of you, and if its heading matches yours, will take it to be the runway that you intend to land at. Your VOR indicator will have either a needle, which swings from side to side and is pivoted at the top, or a bar which moves horizontally from side to side. In either case, this is the Course Deviation Indicator, or CDI, and indicates how far from your chosen radial or course your aircraft currently is. It is your job to fly towards the CDI in order to get on course. The VOR indicator's to from indicator shows which direction, relative to the VOR station, you would be flying if you were on the course or radial that you have selected with the OBS. When you're about to intercept the VOR radial you have selected, the CDI will be moving toward the center and you will want to be on the course you've selected when it gets there. This is easier to achieve if the radial is approached at a somewhat shallow angle, such as 45 degrees, which will result in a final turn onto course which is much smoother.
It looks like it crashed. Awesomeness. It crashed. Alright. Well, let's start it again. Josh. Where are you at, Josh? Alright, new flight. CESNA. Let's go to San Jose, San Jose. Start flight.
Sup. Take me to San Francisco.
That sounds gay. No. I am married. It's starting. The game's starting. It's loading. It's for you, Josh. It's for you. That's for you. Hey, hit the subscribe, Josh.
FS Flying School
What the
disconnecting.
The parking brake should be on before starting, on during stationary checks on the ground, and on during shutdown. It is essential to check that it is off before landing.
There it is. Let's turn this plane around. I don't have pushback.
Subscribe.
There you go. Who's that? Josue Chingon.
LOL. Cool. Was that the surprise?
Yeah, that's one of the surprises.
FS Flying School connecting.
When connecting, please make sure that you are already in the cockpit of a plane in X-Plane and not at a menu. We can navigate using an NDB or non-directional beacon by tuning the Automatic Direction Finder or ADF to the NDB of our choice. Once tuned, if we are within range, the needle on the ADF will point directly to the NDB. The parking brake should be on before starting, on during stationary checks on the ground, and on during shutdown. It is essential to check that it is off before landing. If you want a quick challenge while flying, then with the autopilot off, press Ctrl-Shift-C. Your instructor will set you a quick task to perform. These will be easy while flying straight and level, more challenging while turning or climbing or descending.
Okay, there are clouds present, so remember there are a great number of differences between flying visual flight rules, that's VFR, compared to instrument flight rules, that's IFR. We have to keep a sharp eye on the wind direction and strength today, so let's make sure that when we enter the runway we know its speed and direction, as it may have changed and be different from ATIS.
Once you've completed 11 flights with FS Flying School, you can use the pilot briefing to examine which areas you're having problems with and which areas you've mastered.
You can turn off the strobe lights. You can turn off the strobe lights. Use gentle turns on the ground. You can turn off the strobe lights. Let's turn gently.
Fucking strobe lights.
If you're on a runway or airborne, have the strobe lights
Right.
on.
Short field takeoff.
Use gentle turns on the ground. Let's get going. Accelerate faster. Okay, you've finished taxiing and are about to take off. Current
Hurry up and
visibility
take off
is
already.
9 miles. The wind is 317 at 8. Let's turn off the taxi lights.
Hold on, chill, Rick. Hotboxing it right now. Hotboxing this little CESNA before we take off.
Use gentle turns on the ground.
A real flight? Chingón, Josue?
Let's turn off the taxi lights.
Spill bong water on me, damn it.
Okay, you've finished taxiing and are about to take off. Current visibility is 9 miles. The wind is 317 at 8. Flaps are commonly up or extended just a little for takeoff and usually extended a lot for landing. Flaps must be operated within the manufacturer's speed limits.
In a light aircraft, you'll probably want to take off with maximum power, which you can achieve by holding down F2.
Our best angle of climb speed is 62 knots. Our best rate of climb speed is 74 knots. If we encounter heavy turbulence, we need to be at or below maneuvering speed, and remember this will decrease as we burn fuel. In this aircraft we normally turn with a 20-degree bank. And with a 20-degree bank, we want to begin our rollout from the turn about 20 degrees before reaching our desired heading. You need your strobe lights on. If you're on a runway or airborne, have the strobe lights on. Whenever we use a wet grass runway, we can expect an increase in takeoff distance of around 30%. Okay, we've finished taking off and are now cruising. Let's cruise between 2100 and 2700 RPM and lean the mixture to obtain maximum RPM above 3000 feet. flaps are commonly up or extended just a little for takeoff, and usually extended a lot for landing. Flaps must be operated within the manufacturer's speed limits. Watch out for other traffic. You don't want to be descending during takeoff. Okay, we've finished taking off and are now cruising. Let's cruise between 2100 and 2700 RPM and lean the mixture to obtain maximum RPM above 3000 feet. If an engine is on, or you're about to start the engine, have the beacon light on.
What's nice is that the actual weather.
Customize weather. Match real world conditions. Downloading 100%. Yep. And real time.
Let's turn off the taxi lights. If you're taxiing at night or in a heavy aircraft, have the taxi lights on. Remember, landing distance increases 0.5% for every 1 degree Celsius above the standard temperature for the landing airfield's elevation.
Freely out there. I know the flight freeway
The turn and bank indicator helps the pilot make a coordinated turn by using the rudder to keep the ball in the inclinometer in the center while executing the turn. there's a very strong crosswind, you can land with reduced flaps or no flaps at all, as they can make the aircraft harder to control. The correct use of aircraft lights should be described fully in your specific aircraft's checklists. What I'm looking for is, if an engine is on, have the beacon and nav lights on. If taxiing at night or in a heavy aircraft, taxi lights on. If taking off, cruising or landing, strobe lights on. If not taxiing, landing lights on, unless over 10,000 feet above MSL in a heavy aircraft or cruising in a light aircraft. Many runways have a lighting system which the pilot can use to follow the glide slope on approach to the runway. The older VASI and the newer PAPI systems both work by presenting more red lights than white if the aircraft is below the glide slope, and more white lights than red if above the glide slope. Equal red and white mean that the aircraft is on the glide slope. When taking off from a significantly high elevation, remember takeoff distance increases by 10% for every 1,000 feet above sea level. Always remember that taking off from a dry grass runway will increase your takeoff distance by about 20%. Whenever visibility is low, you need to remember there are a great number of differences between flying visual flight rules, that's VFR, compared to instrument flight rules, that's IFR, 2,500 feet. Remember, landing distance increases 5% for every 1,000 feet of altitude. Raise the nose. We need smooth air to fly into the yellow arc above 129 knots. raise the nose. Okay, we're about to land. Let's have mixture full for landing. Your speed is too high. 1,000 feet. I'll rate your approach and landing based on the runway in front of us when on final approach, unless you tune nav 1 for an ILS approach. We need to land at a much slower speed or fly a missed approach. We're cruising too low, let's gain some altitude. Okay, we're about to land. Let's gain some altitude.
That's San Francisco airport over here.
Feet. Remember, a night rating is needed if you're flying without an instructor anytime more than 30 minutes after sunset or more than 30 minutes before sunrise. If you're on a runway or airborne, have the strobe lights on. Okay, we're about to land. We need smooth air to fly into the yellow arc above 129 knots. So, have you ever been to Fisherman's Wharf? feet. I'll rate your approach and landing based on the runway in front of us when on final approach, unless you tune nav 1 for an ILS approach. You're descending too fast. We need to land at a much slower speed or fly a missed approach. Let's use pitch to control our airspeed and power to control our rate of descent. Based on your nav1 OBS setting, we expect a crosswind from the left with a bearing of minus 0.82 degrees. Flaps are commonly up or extended just a little for takeoff, and usually extended a lot for landing. Flaps must be operated within the manufacturer's speed limits. 500 feet. We want to land with 30 degrees of flaps, 1900 RPM, 65 knots. There's a crosswind from the left, so use rudder to point down the center line and some left bank to stop drifting sideways. 400 feet. Remember, you'll flare at about 10 to 15 feet, raising the nose about 10 degrees.
I ain't getting
Gotta go, see ya.
Alright, Josh. Thanks for watching, dude.
300 feet.
You missed my landing.
At 10 to 15 feet, reduce power to idle and flare. Feet. Feet. 50. Flaps are commonly up or extended just a little for takeoff and usually extended a lot for landing. Flaps must be operated within the manufacturer's speed limits. 40. Okay, let's slow down to a safe taxi speed.
That was a rough landing. Well, we landed safely.
Poor landing heading. I rate your landing at 25.69 points. Approach was 0% for the glide slope and 0% for the localizer.
You know what? Whatever. We got fine for right now. Thanks for watching, guys. If you guys haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Subscribe, comment below. So check out my Twitch.
Okay, let's slow down to a safe taxi speed.
Crazy airplane. That's my setup down there. Alright, guys. We'll be back later.
Let's turn gently. Flaps are commonly up or extended just a little for takeoff and usually extended a lot for landing. Flaps must be operated within the manufacturer's speed limits. There's room for improvement. That flight contained problems you need to work on. Check your logbook. Okay, we're starting a new flight. You can turn off the strobe lights.
Alright. I'm done with right now. I'll be back later. Thanks, Lil Swave.